Gopishana Balaba Giripada Yasoda Nandana Raja Janaranjana Yasoda Nandana Raja Janaranjana Yamuna Tira Gopishana Balaba Giripada Yasoda Nandana Rakachana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Is divine grace is Bhakti, the Guru Vaishnava Vindagecha, Namacharya Thakur Gecha, Prem Saga Sri Krishna, Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Sri Advaita Gadadha, Sri Vasudeva Bhaktivinoda, Sri Radha Krishna, Gopinath, Shamkunda Radha, Ram Gecha. Vandam Gejai, Madhura Dam Gejai, Navitam Gejai, Angamai Gejai, Yamunamai Gejai, Tulasi Gejai, Bhakti Dev Gejai, Samaveda Bhaktan Gejai, Gauradesh. All glories to the Sangha devotees, all glories to the Sangha devotees, all glories to the Sangha devotees, all glories to Sri Shiva Gauranga, all glories to Sri Prabhupada. So we start again with the Transcendental Diary. This is Divine Grace, Sri Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, November 1975 to April 1976. Hari Saudi Das. So, Srila Prabhupada is still in Mayapur. Prabhupada continued by his simple, direct, and matter-of-fact manner. If there is a toilet and you go there and throw some sand, does that make it a nice place? Trying to make the toilet a nice place is less intelligent. Krishna says, Dukhalayam Shashvatam. This material world is temporary and full of suffering, so trying to be happy here is simply a waste of time. He was going to continue but couldn't. His analogy visibly shocked them. She had conjured up She had conjured up an image of attaining bliss on earth, and Prabhupada frankly and abruptly shattered her sentimental vision. They all took it like a slap in the face. One of the men became visibly disturbed, speechless. He began to shake, agitated and disturbed in mind. He wouldn't stay a moment longer. He simply offered his respect, uttered Hari Om, and got up and left. Yoga Shakti Ma and the others followed. Prabhupada continued to sit at his desk, a smile gracing his face. He wasn't concerned that his word had disturbed their idealistic notions. They were typical Mayavadis in Maya. He had spoken the truth as revealed by God himself, Lord Sri Krishna. If they couldn't take it, it was no fault of his. He laughed. By their Yoga Shakti, he told me, they have one flat in Calcutta. We have no such Shakti. So we have 100 centers like this Mayapur. Prabhupada is simply wonderful. Others may or may not appreciate, but he cannot compromise the truth for anyone. His only interest in serving Krishna and Krishna's mission, nothing else. By Krishna's grace, he is enjoying worldwide success. He has neither the need nor desire to have his name associated with anything that deviates from the strict principles of Bhagavata Dharma. So this, I guess, I don't know who read yesterday. So some followers of Mayavadi group came to Srila Prabhupada. And Srila Prabhupada simply presented the philosophy of Krishna consciousness as it is. No, this is actually our mission, to present Krishna consciousness as it is. Not as I speculate, or it may be like that. And many times Prabhupada has explained that, to know about Krishna, we have to listen to Krishna. The best information about Krishna is given by Krishna himself. And that's what what this Krishna consciousness is based on. We just hear or read Bhagavad Gita and hear the explanations of his representative in the form of Srila Prabhupada. And there will be a result. Especially if we adopt a humble attitude, then everything becomes very nice. So, but they couldn't take it. Continue a little bit more. Kirtiraj just arrived from Europe. He had traveled overland in the convoy of Mercedes vans with Gagamuni Swami. He has been preaching in Poland. A few people there have shown genuine interest in our movement. He explained that the Polish people live very austere lives, as no luxury items are available. But they are avid readers. Therefore, Kirtiraj planned to print and distribute as many books as possible. I remember when he was here, Kirtiraj. At that time we had Schloss Rettershof, the castle. So then we were also preaching in Poland for a long time, for some time. And then we did other things, and Harikesh made the arrangement that Kirtiraj came to Germany to preach in Poland. Actually, I guess, I don't want to speculate, I think Prabhupada told him to go there because he was from Polish origin. So actually Prabhupada was always very practical. So I remember he stayed at Schloss Rettershof, and he also made other arrangements. He also went to Russia, and then he took quite a few devotees from Russia to Mayapur 1 year. and he presented them to Srila Prabhupada. You know. And he also went to the Indian president. It was the son of Gandhi. I don't remember what his name was. You know? Yeah, yes. So then, so in this way, you know, he called a lot of attention. This was all in the newspapers everywhere. You know, that the president had received Russian devotees. Prabhupada was so eager to see this program started that he offered to give him a loan to begin printing books in Polish and Russian. As for preaching in Europe, a letter from Mukunda and Bhajahari in London conveyed some interesting news. They confirmed that Harikesh Swami had gone to Hungary on a 2-week tour of yoga school and clubs. Hansaruda spoke to him shortly after his arrival in London, and the next day he was off. The British devotees want him to remain in England and Europe to preach in the universities and colleges. I remember when Harikesh came, Prabhupada actually sent him to America to join this the bus group of Tamakrishna Maharaj. They had a big, big group of buses, and they were traveling receiving books. So Prabhupada had given Harikesh sannyas, and he told him to leave. And Harikesh didn't like it very much. You know, he wanted to stay with Srila Prabhupada, and he was very hurt. In one way, he was pretty hurt of being separated from Srila Prabhupada. So he came and on his way to America, he came through Frankfurt to Schloss Rettershof. And so Alanath, you know, this Paramadvaiti, he changed his name later, he had just come from Brazil, actually because there was some difficulty, so devotees sent him, didn't want to see, you know, gave him, told him to go somewhere else. So he came back to Germany, and then he was very sick. He had a Gelbsucht. What is that in English? Gelbsucht. Hepatitis. Hepatitis, right, hepatitis. So he stayed quite some time in his room, and when he became better, Harikesh told him, you know, he wanted him to give him some service, and he told him to go to Austria. And then Alana said, look, I've been in charge of Brazil. You know how many temples we had there? And now you want me to go to Austria? You know, such a small place. Anyway, so Harikesh came on his way, and he went with Alanath, he went to Hungary. And then, so when they came back, he wrote a very enthusiastic letter to Srila Prabhupada. At that time, Chaitanya was our GBC. And because of the court case, we had a big court case in Germany. And so he wrote a letter to Prabhupada. You know? And Prabhupada, so stay and continue preaching in the communist countries. And then when he came, when he got this instruction from Srila Prabhupada, Chaitanya wrote a letter to Prabhupada and told him, yes, he should be the GBC, you know? Because he didn't like Germany, he wanted to go back to London. Anyway, so Prabhupada accepted that. First Harikesh became our temple president in Schloss Rettershof, very heavy command. I remember he would always stay in front of the door in the morning after the program, when the devotees normally, when we chant rounds at that time, so, but the devotees used to leave the temple. So he stayed in front of the temple with his thunder and didn't leave, didn't let anybody get out. And he was very, very happy anyway. So, and then the court case came. This was in 77. Prabhupada had already left. The same year as Prabhupada left, we had the big court case in Germany. So then he stayed as the Graue Eminenz. What is that? He would guide the whole court case. he would ask everybody what they said and what they should say and not say, and that's anyway. So then he stayed and became our authority here. This was after Hansa-Duda had left. So we had no, and we were more or less all like kind of yes man of Hansa-Duda before Harikesh came. And then we came yes man of Harikesh. So he was undoubtedly very empowered by Srila Prabhupada. And then Prabhupada came to France. This was earlier, a little earlier. It was actually in 76. He came to New Mayapur. And we all went there. And I came, when Prabhupada came to New Mayapur, I came directly from Poland, from the preaching in Poland. And I had to leave earlier. I had to go back. I couldn't stay the whole time when Prabhupada was there. And actually Prabhupada had planned to present us to Srila Prabhupada and talk about the preaching in Poland, and Czech and all these places. But there was no time. Any question or any comment? Yeah?
What did you practically do preaching in Poland? How did you suggest?
We would travel, we had some contacts, and we would do kind of, undercover preaching. Sometimes there were only a few people, maybe even 2 or 3 only. And then also we went to Częstochowa. You heard about that? Częstochowa is for the Polish people, it's a holy place. There's a virgin, Maria, how you say that? Yeah. So, and it's a holy place for them. And they came from very far, they come for that very special event. And actually, this deity comes from the time of the when they had this big war in Europe between the Catholics and the 30-jährige Krieg. What is that? 30-jährige Krieg. Yeah. And so the Swedish king was in charge of the evangelic, and I guess the church on the other side. And they had come to that place. He brought the army to Częstochowa, and there happened something. Somebody smashed with a sword the picture of Maria, And then they say, of that Schnitt, how you say, came blood, and that was a big thing, and that's how the deity, or not the deity, but the painting becomes so famous. And so at that time in Poland, the Catholic Church was very powerful, even though they were a communist country, because the Polish were very Catholic, and so they went there. Once a year they went there. So many people went, and we were just there. We heard that many young people would take advantage of this freedom at that specific event. And they used to come from all parts of the communist countries. They came from DDR, they came from all these places, young people. And so we heard about that. So we went there. And then when we arrived at the festival, we plain clothes, not in dhoti, because we go preaching in the communist country. So we went to the big meeting of the hippies there. And we told them there we are an Indian festival in the forest here, close by, and you should all and it's required that everyone brings flowers, brings a flower, So at one point they all appeared, I had cooked halava and but there were so many people. We did kirtan, and we put a picture of Krishna, and they all offered their flower, and then we. Then we distributed prasad, but there was not enough prasad. So I started giving them a little sugar, to everybody, because there was no prasadam left. Yeah. And then later on it started raining. So we took advantage to disappear quickly, because we didn't want to call the attention of the police or whatever it was. Anyway, and then something very interesting happened. I was in Mayapur at the GBC meetings, and normally when we had the GBC meetings, they always occupied young devotees to distribute papers, so we had to study before going to the meetings. And there came a very young, I was staying with Guru Prasad Maharaj in the same room. And so a young boy came to see me and I asked him, where are you from? He said, Poland. And how did you become a devotee? And he told me an incredible story. He said, when I was a little child, my parents went to Częstochowa. And at one point, we saw the devotees all of a sudden. And I never forgot them. I was always looking for these people. And then at one point, I met some who were distributing books. That was after the communist system fell down in Poland. So, and that's why I became a devotee. Hare Krishna. And then he told us something nice also, that when we chanted at that festival, many hippies, they went back to their home place, to their local places, and they started chanting Hare Krishna on their way. And at one point, I don't know where, maybe DDR or in Poland, there was a group of these hippies sitting and chanting, and the police came, and it appeared so strange to them because they were chanting only this one song. And they asked them, what is this? Where do you got this from? So actually devotees, the hippies at that time, were very inspired, seeing us chanting Hare Krishna. Yeah. Oh, Gauradesh also came with us. Harikesh told Gauradesh, in that specific day, he told him to come with us. Yeah. But because, well, anyway, so at those places, normally people didn't speak English. In the communist system, they avoided to teach their students English. Instead, they taught them Russian, because the Russians wanted to make this a world language, Russian. Anyway, so he kind of, and Gurudas was also a photographer. He took a lot of PowerPoint pictures, and when he came, he started taking pictures of the buildings because they're very traditional buildings and all that. Anyway, I have a picture of that. Sitting right there in the middle of who knows, so many hippies who come from all the communist countries, and we were sitting in the middle, and chanting, and somebody asking questions also. Actually, very impressive picture. That's how it was. That was our preaching at that time. Yeah, there were a lot of hippies everywhere, and the hippies were actually not like when the hippie movement started. People thought, well, common people thought that these hippies are just take drugs and just kind of want to lead a free life and all that. But actually the background of that hippie movement was that young people were actually searching. They were searching for something more profound in life. And LSD at that time was also helping them to widen expand their consciousness in this way. Anyway, so when Prabhupada came, Prabhupada attracted many of these very sincere young people. And they actually realized that actually Prabhupada had brought them a subculture, an alternative to material culture, so-called culture. Now anyway, so this also inspired many people in the communist countries at that time. Yeah. I also went with Prabhupada, we went to see Ananta Shanti, there was a first devotee in Moscow, in Moscow. Yeah. We went to see him too. And Harikesh he called his friends who were already chanting Hare Krishna, and Harikesh gave them second initiation. Yeah. Yeah. It was a pretty far-out trip we had in Russia at that time. Because you could only go to Russia with a tourist group. I say group, in groups, they were only allowed. And they went to special hotels where there was no contact with Russians like that. and when we wanted to go there, you had to become a member of a group. And then we're going to ballet and dancing, so many weird things, And we were part of the group, And mostly we always pretended to be sick, that we couldn't go dancing. Right? And we were always searching for opportunities to preach. I remember we went in Leningrad. Now it's called different. What is the name now, the city? Huh? Yeah. And again, we had simulated that we didn't feel well, we couldn't go to, I don't know what it was. And so we started walking on the street, we sat down on a bench, and a young guy came. And he because at that time, the young people were very attracted to the young tourists from the West. So he came and asked us. We couldn't figure out what he was saying. He didn't speak English or Russian. And then we just started Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Let him hear the holy name, like that. When we came to Moscow, we were not allowed to leave the hotel. And also it was prohibited when the tourists would go to Russia. They were not allowed to bring rubles. They had to change them there. Anyway, so I had brought some rubles, some coins. So and then I called Ananda Shanti. I called him, and so we made a point, a meeting point outside of the hotel, and we couldn't figure out how to get out. And so, because on every floor of the room where the rooms were, there was a person watching the Westerners, when they come, what they do. And somehow I made it to the kitchen. I noticed that there was a door in the kitchen to go outside. Anyway, so I told Hare Krishna, we went and somehow we got out. And we met Ananda Shanti on the other side of the road. There was a park. There was a park. So he took us to his apartment. And we only had one night. One night, one morning. And then we had to be back at the hotel. Anyway, so he invited his friends. And so Hare Krishna taught him how to play Mridanga during the night. The night was we completely occupied. And in the morning we made that fire sacrifice. And I went out with one Russian devotee to get something to cook, And I tried to buy some sugar and some to make halava, And so I went to one of the shops, and actually in Russia, that in DDR also, all the shops were selling the same stuff because they were all Hao, shops of the state. They were not private. Anyway, so I went to one shop with this Russian this boy, and I saw there was butter, and there was butter, and I remember what, and so I bought a lot, and I bought it, I collected it, and then when I got to come to the cash place, they didn't allow me to take so much. You had to have a permission. They would give you stamps at work, to buy certain things, you're allowed. So I didn't have that, so you can only get a little butter, a little sugar like that. So then we went back, and then the group of devotees, future devotees came, and then they were ringing the door, and I went. We could see there's this little glass there. And I saw them all shaved up, They had all shaved up. So then Hare Krishna did the yajna, very small yajna. We were chanting very softly so nobody would hear it. And anyway, so they all get their names, and then they left. And then we had to go back to the hotel. And we came a little late. There's a day we were supposed to go back to Germany. So, and all these Germans became so angry with us that we had come late because they wouldn't let them go unless the group was complete. Anyway, I don't know why I told the whole thing. Actually, I'm supposed to give a Bhagavatam class. It was because you have a question. Huh?
This is also Bhagavad.
Yeah. Anyway, this was pretty. And when we travel in the communist countries, we used to normally go to Scandinavia to collect. We used to always go to Helsinki from Poland, and then there was no temple in Stockholm, Helsinki, and Finland at that time. So we just collected. We had this record, Goddess of Fortune. You know, you heard it from the long play the devotees made under the guidance of George Harrison, and we distributed it and collected, and then we went back. So this way we used to stay a long time without going to a temple. And finally, when we came back to Schloss Rettershof, we had hair, and because first we used wigs, but people didn't, they looked at us like as we were crazies, wearing wigs. And then we let our hair grow. So when we came back to Schloss Rettershof, this was top secret. We couldn't talk about our activities preaching. We only we would talk with hurricanes. And so devotees also started thinking weird things, and we were strange, we would not talk what we were doing. And in the end also we would sell strange things, because we had to always change so much money to get into these countries. This was the law there, Every day you had to pay like maybe $10 or something like that to change. And so, and because we this was it was like the entrance. When you go to the border, you had to change the money. You had to pay. So then we started buying things there, but they would sell weird things, I remember Harikesh started buying Russian clocks, like this, watches, very ugly watches, and also clothes, pullovers and things for the devotees, and they didn't like these things very much. And at one point we went hungry in Budapest. In Budapest, I don't remember the name of the devotee. He took sannyas. Actually went to the Gaudiya Math sometime later and took sannyas. Anyway, so we went hungry, and I made my call to Harikesh, giving a report about preaching. And then he said, "Go to London immediately! The Prabhupada is in London." So we drove all the way from Budapest to London. And well, I have told this many times, and the devotees in Hungary gave us watermelons for the way, Well, we actually, and to think, we were not thinking very much of eating and all that. We were just driving until we got to London. And when we got to London, we hadn't eaten any watermelon, so I gave them to Srila Prabhupada's cook. And actually, at that time, Prabhupada was not eating anymore. But still, the devotees continued to cook because they couldn't tolerate. Prabhupada wouldn't eat anything. So then I gave the watermelons to the cook. I don't remember the name of the lady who cooked. She was actually the wife of Dayananda, American devotee. Yeah. Anyway, so then, as always, when Prabhupada was somewhere, there was somebody keeping watch on his door, There was always a devotee sitting in front of the door. And then I sat with him, and he was actually, I still remember that he was a devotee from Israel, Brahmachari. So the plate went in, and they had put watermelon and other things on it. And when the plate came out, Prabhupada had only eaten the watermelon. Yeah, anyway. But Prabhupada didn't last very long in London. Now, actually, he had told Tamar Krishna Maharaj in Vrindavan at the time that he felt a little better, he wanted to go to America. And Prabhupada said that actually they still need more inspiration. You know? So he wanted to go to America. And he made a stop over in London. It was a big surprise. And all the devotees came from Paris, from all these places. They came to London to see Prabhupada. Anyway, so then Prabhupada became sick. You know, he had a problem. He couldn't pass water. You know, and he'd taken him to the hospital to make a little eingriff. How do you say that? You know, and then Prabhupada became very worse. And he immediately wanted to go back to Vrindavan. Because actually, Prabhupada told us that Vrindavan was his home. In Bombay, well, Mumbai they say nowadays, was his office. And Mayapur was his place of worship. Yeah. So he immediately wanted to go back. It was a pretty heavy. Also, when we saw Prabhupada the first time, when they brought him down they put him on a chair, no, a palanquin. How is it? A palanquin. They brought him down from the first floor. No, in Bhakti and Prabhupada's room is on upstairs, the first floor. And it's now becoming a museum of all the things that Prabhupada used there. So when Prabhupada came down, we were shocked to see Prabhupada in this condition. He was very skinny, using sunglasses. It probably was white, was a light, I guess. And his hands and feet were swollen, you know. And they set him down on the side of the Vyasasana. You know? And we were shocked. You know, most of the devotees were crying, seeing Prabhupada in that condition. And Prabhupada didn't speak anymore. And he just wanted the devotees to do kirtan. They were chanting Hare Krishna. Yeah, like that. I remember Tama Krishna was sitting on Prabhupada's side. You know, he was not looking at devotees, but he was just fixed on Srila Prabhupada. And he was so, how you say, he was so conscious, you know, of Srila Prabhupada's way he moved or way he looked or something. He really knew what to do. Like that. And at one point, I have told this many times, you know this, you have heard this many times. No? At one point, Tama got up, no? And he made a kind of passage, and I know all these terms only in Spanish. Enter los devotos. Fahrt, wie sagt man das? Yes, anyway. So, because actually it came out that Prabhupada wanted to see Harikesh. Yeah? Because he had brought him a big pile of books. You know, at that time, the Northern European BBT was in Schloss Reddersdorf, was in Germany, not in Sweden like nowadays. And they had translated books in all kinds of African languages, the communist country languages, you know, so many languages that were producing. And so he had, when he came to London, he brought him a big pile of books. And Prabhupada was so pleased with it, you know, that he wanted to see him. And Harikesh recognized it. Tama Krishna recognized that he wanted to see him. Yes, actually, I don't know what was that time, but maybe, but it was related to that also. You know, that Prabhupada said that Harikesh was the most dear grandson of Bhakti Siddhanta. Yeah, because he was so much into book production and book distribution. Yeah. And then Prabhupada, then Harikesh, when Prabhupada left, he made a list of devotees who should go to India, stay with Prabhupada. He made a list of the senior most devotees in Germany. Yeah. So I was also in that list. Before I went, Prithu, it was Prithu's turn. And I think Mandali Bhatta was also in that list. Yeah. Anyway, so then Prithu went and he stayed there. And unfortunately, you know, while Peter was there, Prabhupada left his body. So I wasn't able to go anymore. And when this notice came that Prabhupada left his body, wow! This was the heaviest moment, you know, for all of us. That Prabhupada left. Actually, we had never thought that Prabhupada would leave. Even though Prabhupada was always talking about it, how temporary everything was, and everyone was supposed to die, and he would also die. He was an old man. At any minute he would leave. But it was a shock, kind of. I remember there was a couple of devotees. It's mentioned here that who was that? Gargamuni. Yeah, Gargamuni was at that time also in Germany. Yeah, and he had. They came from, these devotees came from India to buy Mercedes buses, to take to India for traveling Sankirtan. And they drove them all the way from Germany to India, passing all the Afghanistan, Iraq, Iran, and all these places, where these places have become explosive nowadays, Yeah, and our Mercedes buses were famous amongst the devotees as the best buses they could get, and they were also close in Germany, closer than America. Yeah, anyway. And some of these devotees from that party who had come to buy the buses and drive them, they were also right there at that moment when Prabhupada left. It was a big event. And many of us were doubting how would it continue now without Srila Prabhupada. Because Prabhupada had always been there. Since we became devotees, Prabhupada was always there. And then then big difficulties started. The whole thing with the zonal gurus and all that. I remember I went in 78, I went to London. What am I saying? To Mayapur. And they had given all the gurus, the Prabhupada gave, the 11 gurus, they had given them huge seats in Mayapur in the temple. Because it was not clear what kind of standard they should have. Because they thought that, Prabhupada, they should have Prabhupada was guru, he gave the example, so all these gurus, they should have the same facilities, the same, kind of, wow. and during the years after that, first they would always put the picture of the guru on the altar, the zonal guru, he was on the altar, on the side of Srila Prabhupada. Then slowly, the picture became smaller and smaller. Then some of the gurus had spiritual problems, kind of, Then there was a lot of discussion on the GBC about the size and the standard that the new gurus should have and all that. And nowadays, when the pujari does a puja to the deities on the altar, he doesn't put the picture on the altar anymore, but he puts it on the table where the articles are, And I remember, during this time after Prabhupada's departure, sometime after that I went also to Argentina, and we had a standard that all the pictures of the gurus, there should be an altar, in the temple where all the guru pictures were. And they do Guru Puja, every day to the Gurus first, and then Guru Puja to Srila Prabhupada. This was also done in India. Actually this was Jagattagama's disciples, followers were introducing a huge standard for the Guru in Mayapur. And then he started inviting the other Gurus to also participate in that. I was also there a couple of times. And also, not only that, but also the Vyasa Pujas of the Gurus. The Gurus would have Vyasa Pujas many times, different places. Then the law came, no, only one Vyasa Puja. I remember at that time Jayapataka was traveling in South America. And as he was doing Vyasa Pujas in different places, they gave him so many gifts that he started to travel with a lot of suitcases. Hare Krishna. I see. Any questions? Or any comments? Yeah.
Goddess of fortune.
Huh?
This today, goddess of fortune.
Goddess of fortune.
Fortune.
Yeah, they're supposed to long play this. Schallplatte. At that time, no, not CDs. They were not CDs yet. In the beginning, we had no tape recorders. They were very expensive. When Prabhupada came to Germany in '74, Hans Duda asked me to get a tape recorder. And my father had just bought one. And my relationship with my parents at that time was not very good. They thought I was crazy because I had become Hare Krishna. And but I went home, you know, and asked my father if I could he could lend me his tape recorder. And somehow, by Krishna's arrangement, he agreed. You know, and there was a huge thing. The tape recorder was that big, you know, and they had these huge wheels. And I went to Srila Prabhupada. His dictaphone had broken down. That's what it was. He had a dictaphone already, but it broke down. So then Hans Ruda told me to get a tape recorder. So I got that huge piece of furniture, tape recorder. And then Purushottam, he was a servant of Srila Prabhupada. He was traveling with Srila Prabhupada. So he told me, go in and explain it to Srila Prabhupada how this works. So I went in with the tape recorder. Prabhupada sat there, and I started explaining things with the tape recorder. Later on, I found out he never used it. But after explaining this to him, I asked Srila Prabhupada a question. I asked, Prabhupada, can I become your disciple? And Prabhupada moved his head like that. In India, when they say yes, they go like And a few days later was Janmashtami, and Prabhupada initiated us. We were 5 devotees. One had come from America to become initiated. No, 4, actually 4.
Was it the 68 or 69?
69, in September, 5th of September 1969. Yeah. And next day was Vyasa Puja, Srila Prabhupada. And we had no idea what to do at that time. And then all of a sudden, somebody gave you a kick, kind of, now you speak to Srila Prabhupada. And you had to get up. When I spoke to Srila Prabhupada, I spoke in German to Srila Prabhupada. And Prabhupada looked at me like, yeah, and we fasted with Srila Prabhupada all day on Janmashtami. And everything I remember was at midnight, when we broke the fast, they gave Prabhupada a big plate of food only. I don't remember any prasad at that time. Prabhupada only had food. Yeah, and there was Harigrava, who had come to Germany with the manuscript of the Krishna book. He was working on it. He was an English professor. And so Prabhupada, Harigrava sat in front of Srila Prabhupada. Prabhupada was in the temple on the Vyasasana, and he started reading from the Krishna book on Janmashtami. And he read and read and read. It was long, and we were all sitting there, because we were fasting. Yeah, and then 2 Indians came at night. One, they're actually Bengali. No, one was Bengali. He had a restaurant. Bengalish, it was in Hamburg. He had a restaurant. And they started talking with Prabhupada in Bengali. And we couldn't figure out what they were talking about. And then many years later, I was doing Sankirtan. We were traveling here in Germany in our van, distributing books. And at one point, we also went to Hamburg to distribute books. And we went to the train station in Hamburg, the Hauptbahnhof. And because there we could also go to the bathroom and all that. So we finished prasad, And I open the door and I get out, and all of a sudden I see one of these two who had been with Prabhupada at that time. No? He was coming, you know. I saw him there. He was much older, all grey hair. No. So I made myself, you know, I told him who I was, and then I asked him, what did Srila Prabhupada talk with you, during that night? You know? And then he remembered, he said, yes, he asked us to help you because you didn't know much. You didn't know much. You know, kind of. That's what he remembers. Yeah, anyway, at that time, things were different. We were only a few devotees in Hamburg. There were no temples and devotees in Germany. Just a few. Yeah, we used to go out every day on Harinam. Yeah. We started printing Zurück zur Gottheit, you know, back to Godhead. Few pages like, and we would like chant like, for 20 minutes, and then we would change. You know, one group was chanting, 2 or maybe 3 chanting, and the other 2 were going around with baskets, you know, and invitation cards, like kind of, and people would drop money in the basket. Yeah. And we used to go out in the morning till midday. We went back to the temple to take prasad, and then we went out again. And on Saturdays we went out after the program at night. We went to the Reeperbahn. You know, Reeperbahn? You know, everyone knows what Reeperbahn is. This is the how you say, the most sinful place in Hamburg. You know, because this is a port, a big port. And many sailors come in there. And so when they come, they go to that place, red light zone, they call it other places. And it was pretty heavy doing Harinam on Reeperbahn. You know? Wow. Anyway, so at that time power was still there, so you know, we all kind of self-protected by Srila Prabhupada. You know, it's not, there was no internet, there was no WhatsApp and all this stuff, you know. when there was some problem in ISKCON, nobody knew about it, only Prabhupada. And Prabhupada would solve the problem. And he made sure that nobody knew about it, not to disturb their spiritual life. Nowadays, somebody does something weird, and you know, like a brahmachari in Tokyo falls in love, you know, with a lady, something. Immediately the whole world knows about it. I told this caught my attention once. Ravindra Swarup told us something. He said that I don't know where, I think it was in America, he wanted to talk to Srila Prabhupada, and Prabhupada was busy, so he had to wait in the secretary's room. And so after a while he just looked around and saw there was a stack of letters, you know? And an ordner, how you say it? You know, that kind of, yeah. So he started looking, and he looked at the letters, and the answers that were stapled to the answers of Srila Prabhupada. You know, there was not this advanced computer systems at that time, you know, internet and all this. Anyway, so he started reading these letters, you know, that Prabhupada had received, and the answers of Srila Prabhupada, you know, and he was shocked, you know, about the problems. At that time, nobody knew about this problem. Only Srila Prabhupada would solve these problems, you know, or maybe his leading man. Anyway, so this is also something that actually caught my attention. I know yours also. You know, and Prabhupada was doing that, taking care of all the devotees, you know, all who were writing letters to him. And at the same time, he would produce his books at the same time. You know? Let's say, for example, here in the temple, you know, the temple president or the management has problems with something. You know, it's very difficult to think of Krishna, you know, or to read the books or give a class, because these problems are clouding your brain, kind of. And just imagine, Prabhupada was leading the whole movement. There were already so many temples all over the world. Yeah. And at the same time, Prabhupada continued getting up early, translating his books, writing his purports like that. Yes. Of course, I have mentioned it many times. I don't know here, I think here also, that after the first years had passed, the secretary Srila Prabhupada wrote a letter to all the temples under his order, and told the devotees, now don't write to Prabhupada anymore directly. Try to solve your problems with local authorities, like the temple president. It was just becoming too much. Das hast du schon öfters gehört, ne? Ja. Du auch? Ja. Srila Prabhupada geht. Jetzt haben wir gar nicht das Bhagavatam gelesen. Ich habe nur hier aus dem Prabhupada-Buch gelesen. Huh?
May I ask a question?
Yes.
Guru Maharaj, you said that it was so much for Srila Prabhupada to solve alone all these problems, yes? But he had his team from the
Yeah, he started to form a group.
Yes, it was
Yeah, then he named them GBC, Regional Governing. Yeah.
It was not enough.
Huh?
It was not enough.
At that time when Prabhupada created the GBC, he often had to correct the GBCs. Especially there was one incident that the GBC of Iran, I don't remember his name, Atreya Rishi, and some other devotees, they had taken a decision that Prabhupada had not instructed them to take. And when Prabhupada heard that, he stopped the GBC, and he corrected them that actually this had not been proper. They should have asked him before taking such an important decision. So Prabhupada was still there, correcting things which were not properly done.
Guru Maharaj, but how it is, Srila Prabhupada was correcting them because the decisions, I don't know the quality of the decisions, but I can imagine maybe the decisions that were not so much connected with Krishna, or they were maybe more from this ego, I don't know, tendencies. But how generally?
No, Prabhupada said there were, but I don't know how many were, 30? No, something. So somebody was speaking to Prabhupada about that, that the GBCs are not how you say, not perfect and all that, so they of course they must make many mistakes. And then Prabhupada, at one point Prabhupada said, actually, a group of 30 mature devotees, how can there be mistakes? Not only that, but when I used to be in GBC also, we noticed several times, that we had come to a problem that was very difficult to solve. And then all of a sudden somebody said something, and everyone realized that actually Prabhupada was inspiring that person. Prabhupada inspired. Yeah? Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I want to ask your definition of the Mayavadis. I'm not sure. Is it a Buddhist or a Hindus with the same philosophy with the Buddhists, or both, or how can I?
No, I explained it the other day. We have this prayer, Namaste Saraswati Devi Gaurdesh Pachat Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschachari Satari. Nirvishesha Shunyavadi. The prayer says, I don't remember the exact words, but the meaning of the words, but it says that Prabhupada actually came to counteract Nirvishesha Shunyavadi. Nirvishesha is impersonalism, and Shunyavadi is void. How do you say it? Yeah, voidism. Actually this is Buddhism. But the Buddhists have no concept, of something happening after death. And that's only void. And the impersonalists, actually this impersonal philosophy lately was always there, but lately it was especially emphasized by Shankaracharya. After Buddha had appeared with his voidism philosophy, Shankaracharya came to re-establish the Vedas, because Buddha had, I only know certain words in Spanish. Rechazado. He reject. He rejected the Vedas. And this cannot be. It was a necessity. It was a timely necessity, but not eternal truth. So Shankaracharya came, but because the philosophy of Buddhism and Vedic philosophy, it's too big step, right? So he kind of made a compromise, introducing the Vedas, but only until there's Brahmavadi, Brahmeti, Paramatmeti, Bhagavaniti Shada. That means first step in self-realization or spiritual realization is the impersonal realization, then Paramatma, and then the Supreme Personality of God. So he presented it. But after Shankaracharya, Madhvacharya, Ramanujacharya, they started arguing, and re-establishing the Bhagavan aspects of the Absolute Truth. There were heavy discussions. Yeah? You referring to this one thing that we read, no?
Yes.
About in person. Yeah, in person. Yeah. They think that the ultimate issue, everything is one. There's no more variety. There's no more personalities. But that's not complete. Like I mentioned the other day, this is like kind of, Prabhupada used to say that this is the last trap of Maya, advancing, purifying, reading Vedas and that. But in the end, you become diverted. Because it requires a lot more to become a devotee of Krishna. The Mayavadis tend to become puffed up, but the the basic principle, like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu taught us, Trinadapi Sunichina Taruiva Sahishna, Amanina Maladena Kirtani, that one should feel lower, lower than the straw in the street, more tolerant than a tree, always, ready to respect others without expecting honor or respect for oneself. This is the basic principle, of devotional service. That's why the verse ends, Kirtaniya Sadhari. In this way you can always chant Hare Krishna without difficulties. Now we see, when there's difficulties, because the devotees are not following these three principles very nicely. They either become puffed up, or intolerant, or feel themselves like that. Yeah, anyway, did I answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
What did I say?
Yes, the Buddha has this special philosophy.
No theology. Actually, they have no real philosophy. When sometimes when you study Buddhist, you want to say something about that?
Yeah, the Buddhist is not real philosophy, not real religion. It's something in between, actually.
Sorry?
The Buddhism is not real philosophy, but not real religion either.
Yeah, yeah.
It's something in between, you know. So because they don't have any concepts of the soul, of the personality.
Actually, I said that Buddha appeared to propagate the principle of ahimsa, non-violence. Nimmst du das auf oder was?
Nee, es ist jetzt
Du musst immer dein Telefon ausstellen, wenn du im Tempel bist.
Ja, gestern. Ich lasse es an wegen den...
Ich habe gesehen, manchmal auch in den Kirchen heutzutage haben sie das. Ein Schild am Eingang der Kirche steht, Telefone bitte ausstellen. Hier weiß ich nicht, ob das hier auch ist, aber in Südamerika gibt es viele Kirchen. Und da sieht man immer diese Schilder da am Eingang. You want to say something else? But please, say something.
Maybe say something about Shankaracharya?
Sorry?
About Shankaracharya?
Yeah, what?
He introduced this, he came after Buddha to re-establish the faith in the Vedas.
Yeah.
And he, besides that he was, as you said, has to be very close to the Buddhism, otherwise people will, there's too big of a gap.
Yeah, yeah.
So he did something between, but he also united all the Indian philosophies. He established this Panchopasaka.
Mm-hmm.
So he basically united Shiva worshippers, Vishnu worshippers, Surya all together. Whomever you worship is the same.
Yeah.
So this in this way he united.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, actually, it was like anybody could select somebody. No?
Yeah, yes.
It was a choice of 5.
So
Panchopasaka.
he united all the Hindus together to be stronger together.
That's what the official of the Kami said. That he made Hinduism strong again.
Make Hinduism strong.
Yeah, because at the time of Buddha there were so many deviations like that. You know, it says that historians say this, you know, that he made Hinduism strong again, the main religion. Okay, willst du noch was sagen? Doch, sag mal was. Bitte.
Yeah, you have now explained both how the past was, but then what is for us important that all the Vaishnava acharyas appear from all the 4 sampradayas, and then on top of that, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared.
Prabhupada used to say that he was the culmination. He made the end connection. I say. Yeah? That's why in Mayapur, when you go to the Chaitanya Math, they have deities. What do deities say in that temple? The names. Yeah, right. Yeah. And on the same altar they have Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Alone, not three Gauradesh, but only indicating that Radha Krishna Naha Anya. No? That actually he is a combination, I think, of Radharani and Krishna. Yeah. and then on the outside of the temple, you know, they have these 4 shrines, you know, where they have where Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati established the 4 Sampradaya Acharyas. Yeah. Indicating that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu actually brought them all to the culmination, the end. Yes, Hare Krishna. Thank you for your patience, Hare Krishna. And sorry that I didn't speak about the Bhagavatam today. Srila Prabhupada ki, Shri Seganitai ki. So don't follow my example. There should always be balance.